Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that hard rock and Madison Rising intro music. If you're not following Madison Rising, you are wrong, and you should fix yourself. It's pretty simple. You go to madisonrising.com. Check out their new album and all of their tracks. And if you're a patriotic person, and if you're listening to me and you're not, you're wrong. So fix yourself. The Madison Rising version of the Star Spangled Banner is probably one of the best ones out there.
Perfect way to start your day.
It is a perfect way to start your day. If you're feeling like you want a little bit of extra oomph, a little bit of motivation, go ahead and listen to that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday. It's the middle of the week already. I know, it's crazy. It's crazy talk. How do we get to this point in our lives? I don't know. But we've got to do it. We've got to get moving. We've got to get going with this. And one of these weeks, Jared, I would like to have a week where I didn't have to talk about attacks on the good people of the United States of America. That is, I have a dream. Maybe I should do my dream speech. I have a dream that one day I will wake up and the leftists and the statists and the communists will have shut their mouths for 7 whole days. No, that's not today. That's not today. But I am your host, Professor Paul Markel. I am inside of the Glass Case of Emotion Studios, which is located at Student of the Gun University, in case you didn't know. And you're like, Student of the Gun University, is that a real place? It is. It's not like the Land of Oz. This is a real place, and you can actually come here and train. People do come here and train. We had a whole gym full of people. We had a little bunch of crumb crunchers in here a couple days ago, didn't we, Jared?
We did.
Yeah, Jared's doing the crumb cruncher classes now. Him and Johnny D. We had little munchkins from, the 2-year-olds aren't really doing it, but 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And then we had the adult monsters that were stinking up the place and sweating and flipping over tires and, picking up heavy things and setting them down, all that good stuff. But that all happens here at Student of the Gun University and Fight U. So if you are in the Biloxi, South Mississippi area, or even if you're not, let's just say you're far away and you would like to come down and train with us. Can you do that? Yes, you can. Go to SOTGU.com, and Jared actually recently updated the store. We have 2 Beyond the Band-Aid classes that are scheduled, one at the end of August, which is here in Biloxi, and then we have another one at the very beginning of October, which is way up north in the Great White North in Marquette, Michigan. So, no excuses. If you're down south, you can come here, and if you're up north, you can go there. There you go. You're fresh out of excuses. However, these classes are limited, so Jared, should they get signed up soon, or should they wait until the last minute?
They should get signed up soon because they are limited to 12 people.
12 people per class.
12 people per class. You can do
right.
12 people for the home class, 12 people for the Marquette class, and we've got people up in Marquette that are actually working on getting a group together. So if you want in on that, let me know.
Well, yeah, get in on that. We want to start out the show with something positive today, with some positive news. And this was shared with me by a good friend of mine, Mr. Doug Hunter, Captain Doug Hunter, who actually, Doug was my firearms instructor when I went to the police academy, the Wayne County Sheriff's Academy, many, many moons ago. And it has to do with the recruiting station, in Wooster, Ohio. And that's where I was recruited out of. That's where I joined the Marine Corps, like I said, umpteen moons ago, back in the old days before the internet. There was a time in America before the internet, right? Way back before the internet, when I became a United States Marine, I was inducted out of Wooster, Ohio, or I joined the Marine Corps in Wooster, Ohio. That's why I say and thank you, Filter, for the Go Team Moment theme song. Now, there wasn't any shooting in this story, but we thought that they warranted a Go Team theme song, so you're welcome. The story comes to us from Newsnet5.com, and we were going to play the audio, but my intrepid studio engineer went ahead and listened to the audio and realized that it was not high enough quality to put in the show, so you're just going to have to listen to me. Dateline, Wooster, Ohio. Following the shooting at a Chattanooga, Tennessee recruiting center, Wayne County Sheriff's deputies stood watch outside of the local recruitment center. Captain Doug Hunter sent an email to his department, and to no one's surprise, he received a positive response. Quote, "We're here today on our own time. This isn't something we are being compensated for. It's simply a way of showing our support for our servicemen, and thank you very much." And, yeah, that is the... well, it's not the same recruiting center. I was recruited 30 years ago, and they're in a different place now. But it's in Worcester, and that's where I became a Marine, or that's where I joined the Marine Corps. And we wanted to just kind of give an acknowledgement to the guys up there for volunteering their time. That's why we decided to give them a Go Team moment. And we're seeing that across the nation now. And that's something that we need to be aware of and appreciative of. And brothers and sisters and people of all ages, all these Facebook posts, Jared, have you seen, are popping up. All these news stories are popping up of American citizens standing armed outside of recruiting centers. And the weenies in the media are peeing their pants. There are all these armed people with guns and rifles and stuff standing around.
Good.
And they're questioning as to whether or not this is a positive thing. And I actually saw one story, they're like, well, we appreciate the show of response, but someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah, the person that comes to shoot up the recruiting center.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Somebody already did get hurt. 5 U.S. servicemen, not 4, are dead because Johnny Jihad decided to go on his little killing spree, and your government long ago decided that your warriors in uniform needed to be disarmed because it's just too dangerous to allow soldiers and Marines to actually have guns. So we're going to go ahead and deliberately disarm them so any puke-faced scumbag that comes along can shoot them and kill them. And here we have these little, and I know I wanted to make this positive, but this has to be said. I'm tired of it. It's nonsense. It's crap. And even after what happened in Chattanooga, what happened in Little Rock, what happened at Fort Hood, what happened at the freaking the IHOP, what has happened to our servicemen, even after all that, the Navy Yard shooting, all this nonsense, and we still have these talking head morons getting out there saying, well, we appreciate the sentiment behind this, but having all these people around here with guns, this is dangerous. Someone's going to get hurt. Yeah, that's it. Folks, are you like me? Are you frustrated? Are you standing up on a building just screaming? Like, are you wondering what country you live in? You live in a country today where the government, the federal government, the state, has decided that the citizens can't be trusted with arms. Not only can't the citizens be trusted with arms, but the military can't be trusted with arms. So who can, Barry and et al., all of your minions, CNN, who can be trusted? Oh, well, the DOJ can be trusted, and the ATF can be those guys are allowed to have guns. They work for the state. I don't know if I'm buying that there. All right, it is Wednesday, and before we get into our SWAT Fuel Fitness Talk update, let's go ahead and thank our friends Crossbreed Holsters and Century Arms. Crossbreed Holsters is really easy. Crossbreedholsters.com. You go there, you shop around, you figure out which gun you want to carry, you get it, you order it, you put it on your body, and you start carrying a gun, and you go from there. Century Arms, makers of the C39 made in the USA AK, and the TP9 SA, and the TP9 V2, and whatever else you want. I think they're done. I don't know. Maybe they're going to come out with a third version. But either way, say, well, I can't afford a full-size pistol. Yes, you can. You have a job. You have an income. If you have a job and an income, you can afford a TP9 pistol, a full-size duty caliber pistol for less than $400. So check them out today. All right, you guys like Wednesdays. I like Wednesdays. We all like Wednesdays. And why do we like Wednesdays, Jared?
Because it's the fitness song.
That's right.
Physically fit, physically fit, physically fit, woman, physically fit, physically fit, woman, nice, sweet, fantastic, big body ocean at the big Titanic, woman, nice, sweet, energetic, big body ocean at the big Titanic, woman, nice, sweet, fantastic, big body ocean at the big Titanic, woman, nice, sweet, fantastic, big body ocean at the big.
Like I mentioned last week, we're going to talk about isolation workouts today, and some of you are probably like, what is an isolation workout? An isolation workout is when you go to the gym and you focus on one thing, such as biceps or triceps, or you isolate that muscle group. And that's not always a good thing. It depends on what your goal is. So you need to know, first of all, you need to write down your goal. Like I think that was the very first episode of Fitness Talk that I ever did, was that you need to have goals. And so if your goal is to become a bodybuilder, then isolation workouts are okay, obviously. If you don't want to become a bodybuilder, if you just want to get more fit, shed the pounds, get more cut up, something like that, then you need to don't focus on isolation workouts, focus more on a full body workout. And that's why I'm such a big proponent of kettlebells, is because when you do kettlebells, it is a full body workout. And by working out your entire body, you're obviously burning more calories than you would if you just do an isolation workout such as biceps or triceps or something like that. And one important thing to knowing yourself and knowing what your goal needs to be is your resting metabolic rate, which is the number of calories that your body burns in a day just doing nothing. And mine, because I'm such a big person, is I burn 2,300 calories just if I just lay down in a bed all day long. So, and you know, when the nutrition on food is mostly based on a 2,000 calorie diet, who does that? Who does a 2,000 calorie diet? Maybe some women and some really skinny men. I don't know. But you need more calories than you think you do. So if you need to know your resting metabolic rate, which you do, you need to know it. There are several ways that you can find that. There's some apps out there that you put in your general information. You can go, your doctor can tell you your RMR. But if you need, you guys can contact me. I have an app that does it for me. If you really want to know.
Is there an app for that?
Yep, there is an app for that. I think I actually had to pay for it, but it's paid off. It works very well. There's actually this thing that you can buy from Amazon, I think it is. It's like $350, where you stand on it and it sends electrical current through your body and it tells you what your body consists of.
Now, with the app, do you like put your smartphone down on the ground and
you stand on it?
And stand on it?
Yeah, it becomes a platform.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. All right. So everybody put your iPhone 5 on the floor and stand on it, and it will measure your body fat.
Yep.
I kid. Don't do that. But when it does die, you should put it in the microwave to recharge it real quick.
Yeah, that works very well. It actually brings the battery right back to life. Or if you get it wet, you put it in some rice and the ninja will come fix it.
No, the rice thing does work.
Yeah.
And the oven thing works too.
I don't know what
heat your oven to 450 and put your phone in there for 20 minutes. And all the water will be gone out of it.
So anyway,
it's true.
The purpose of today's fitness talk was not to talk about cooking your phone, but it was to talk about having a goal for yourself, and that isolation workouts are not always the best way to go. Full body workouts, do them.
Okay, and I when you said isolation, I thought like I put you in a room and close the door and I tell you, work out, and I'll come back in a half an hour and check on your progress.
That's funny.
There you go. All right, well, all right, kids. And I was going to save it for tomorrow, but should I save it for tomorrow? I'm sure since today is SWAT Fuel Fitness Talk Day, and if you're going to, well, first of all, tell them where they can go to get SWAT Fuel and how they can save money.
SWATfuel.com. You can go to SWATfuel.com, place your order. When you get to the little checkout thing, it gives you a coupon code box. Enter SOTG2015, and you will get 10% off of your order. However, if you are a grad program member and you're listening to my voice right now, don't use that code, because we have one special for you that you get in the email every week.
That's
so
right,
use
but
that
you should
code
know.
And
You should know that. No, I was going to mention the fact that we were on this week Fat to Fit podcast with Carol Salva.
Oh yeah.
Since we're talking about fitness, So we got on Carol's podcast there. She invited us on, and we talked about fitness, and we talked about lots of stuff. Actually, it was a really fun interview, and if you haven't listened to the Fat to Fit podcast, do yourself a favor and at very least listen to the one that we were on, because you'll enjoy it. It was a long one. So is that what somebody said?
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. So
I just text her and ask when it's going to be up so I can let you guys know. I will let you know as soon as I get a reply.
Well, and you're like, well, Paul, when you're on all these different things, how do we know? Well, if you followed us on Gun District or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever, well, maybe not so much Instagram, but we share all this stuff throughout the week on our social media. And if you're not paying attention to that, I don't know what to tell you. If you're not, what's funny, Jared, is as we get, and we talked about this, but I still find it bizarre that people will go to the official Student of the Gun Facebook page and they will leave a comment that says, and you're like, we already addressed that on the radio like 3 times. You obviously are not paying attention. What do we do, folks? You guys listening to me right now? What do we do with these people? Now, I did give you permission, and I gave grad program people permission a long time ago, that if they encounter stupidity, that they are 100% allowed to call it out. So, all right, let us move on. Let us move on from from the hilarity, and we're going to move on to the main topic of the day. Now, today's topic is something that I don't know. It's called disarmed by disqualification. And I've been wanting to talk about this for quite some time now. And it's kind of one of those ideas or one of those situations where I've had it in my mind. I've known that I needed to speak about this for a while. But the latest from Comrade Barry, you realize that we're in the nation today, the United States of America in 2015, we left behind probably 5 years ago, at least 5 years ago, maybe 6. We left behind the whole notion of what does the Constitution allow me to do as Congress, as the President, as the Supreme Court. We used to live in a nation where before the elected representatives of the people could or would do anything, there was this check and balance. Like, let's check that founding document thing. Let's go ahead and check that. That's over with. We left that behind. No longer are we living in a nation where the first stop is the Constitution or the law to determine, before we go out in public and say, we're going to do this and we're going to pass this and we've decided that you peasants are too stupid to run your own lives, so we're going to run them for you. Today, we're in a situation where those in authority, those who decided that they are part of the ruling class and you are the peasantry, rather than checking with the Constitution to determine whether or not they're allowed, whether they have the authority, no, today we're in a situation where who's going to dare to stop me? I dare you to stop me. When Comrade Barry and his minions come out, get in front of microphones, or he sends his minions out to stand in front of a microphone to say, we have decided that we're going to do this. I'm passed an executive order. Do I need to talk about executive orders again? Because apparently not everyone in the United States understands what the hell that's all about. Executive orders are supposed to be there for the administration of the executive branch of government, not to create law. The Constitution wasn't put together and like, oh, well, if the monarch decides that the Congress isn't moving fast enough on an issue that he is concerned with, then he can just bypass the Congress and issue forth an edict, which will become law in the land. No, that's not how it works here in the United States of America. But because the populace, by and large, is so weak, so ignorant, so distracted, it happens. Story comes to us from the LATimes.com. I don't even like saying this name, but I'm going to go ahead and quote you the exact title. Obama pushes to extend gun background checks to Social Security. All right, that sentence to an intelligent person, a person who's educated, who learned about the Constitution, who understands what the Social Security Administration is all about, that sentence is an insult. First of all, the president does not make law. Do we understand this? Read the Constitution. The chief executive is not there to make law. Laws are made by the Congress, the Senate, and the House of Representatives, who are supposed to be the duly elected representatives of the people. The president is not elected to go to Washington, D.C. to create law. Yes, all presidents have their own agendas, and all presidents have things that they would like to see happen. But they have to go through the Congress. They don't get to make law on their own. Seeking tighter controls over firearms purchases, the Comrade Barry administration is pushing to ban Social Security beneficiaries from owning guns if they lack the mental capacity to manage their own affairs. A move that could affect millions whose monthly disability payments are handled by others. The push is intended, I was going through puberty real quick there. Drink your coffee, Paul.
That was pretty funny. The push is intended to bring Social Security Administration in line with laws regulating who gets reported to the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, or NICS, which is used to prevent gun sales
to felons,
drug addicts,
immigrants, and other illegal aliens. Okay, all right. First of all, stop for a second here. Can we all agree, everyone in the listening audience, whatever level of conservative or liberal, if you're a liberal and you're listening to me, I think you're just here to spy on your enemy. And congratulations. Be careful, because you might actually learn something. I think we can all agree that the system, in and of itself, the NICS system, is a lie. Whoa, no. What are you talking about? It's not a lie. Yeah, it is a lie. The law is there. You're like, well, who does the law stop? Well, what do you mean, who's the law stop? Well, the law affects the law abiding. So someone who is willing to obey the law, this applies to them. Okay. Someone who is not willing to obey the law, let me see, like the tens of thousands of thugs and gangsters and vermin that populate the city of Chicago and Cook County, that populate, obviously, Baltimore, Maryland, because we've seen them on display, New York City, most of New York, not the state, the city, New Jersey, Philadelphia. Go to Philadelphia. Philadelphia hasn't been in the news lately, but go to Philadelphia and tell me about the city of brotherly love. Yeah, exactly. St. Louis, and as we're seeing, Louisville, Memphis. Go to those major metropolitan areas. Detroit. Do I need to keep going? And I want you to go to the local thuggery, the Crips and the Bloods and the various other gangs, and tell me how many of those people went down to the local gun shop and presented their state-issued ID and filled out the Form 4473 and picked up their guns and went home. How many of those people? They're like, well, come on, Paul. Obviously, you know that it's like almost none. It's nil. Okay. So we've got all this wonderful NICS system. We have all this stuff. And that's not preventing the evil from getting weapons. Well, we got to do something. I mean, you can't just let people buy guns. Why? Well, because it's not reasonable. Oh, folks, what about mentally unstable people? So all of a sudden in 2015, 2014, 2013, all of a sudden in the United States of America, we have mentally unstable people. And we got to be sure that they don't get their hands on guns. Were there not mentally unstable people 80 years ago, 50 years ago, 30 years ago, what have you? Would you refer every holiday weekend we're treated to news stories from Chicago of the urban warfare? More people were murdered in Chicago in 1 month than were murdered in Iraq, or that died in Iraq in combat. So how is all this Nick stuff working out for you? Well, come on now. Come on. We've got to do something. No, folks, I'm telling you, it's a lie. It's a lie that's easy to swallow because it makes you feel good. It's a lie that makes you think that you're doing something positive. But you're not. And, all right, I got a question for you. So let's just say that Comrade Barry gets away with yet another end game, another end around the Constitution, another end around the Congress. I've decided, because I am the king, that I will issue forth this edict, and I will command my bureaucracy to do this. And I like how the L.A. Times puts it there. This is just getting the Social Security Administration in line with the existing laws. And I actually had somebody in the Student of the Gun audience say, well, come on, Paul. You know, you guys in the NRA, you're always saying that we don't need new laws. We just need to enforce the ones that are already in place. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to create more disabled people or more disqualified people. So I'm gonna throw out a hypothesis for you guys. So the Social Security Administration decides that they're going to send a list of names. Here we go. It says about 4.2 million adults receive monthly benefits that are managed by representative payees. That means they've created a bureaucracy. They've created a system. Do you know, and I know all you divorce guys know this, but that in most states that you don't, if you're a divorced man and you're forced to pay child support, that you don't pay it directly to your spouse. You know that, right? You send the money to a government bureaucracy, and then a government bureaucrat distributes it to your ex-spouse. Not because we believe that, like for instance, well, I'm not going to get into personal things, but not because we believe that there's a history that you would not pay it, but because we need to have that bureaucracy to manage the money. So here we go. We got 4.2 million adults receive monthly benefits managed by a representative payee. So thereby, according to this story and according to the thoughts of, this move was concerted effort by Obama's administration, Sandy Hook, blah, blah, blah. F off. But let's just say, Jared, give me 10% of 4.2 million. It'd be 420,000.
Yeah.
Let's say 420,000 of these representatives are in the NICS check that they are registered gun owners. You're like, well, how do you register a gun owner? How are you a registered gun owner? You create something like a universal. If you could create a universal background check system where every person who purchases, sells, trades, receives a gun goes into a computer system so that you can know. Did you ever think about that, Jared? Maybe if we could just be reasonable and come up with a universal background check system where everyone in America, all you have to do is just do the background check system and put your name on a list. If you do that, that would be reasonable.
Don't you already do that?
And then, no, I mean for everything, Jared.
Oh.
Everything. Are you tracking with me?
Yeah.
That I can't sell you a gun unless I first go to the state and get permission to sell you the gun? Well, once you have that system in place where every single person in America is forced to funnel through a federal system of background checks, well, then you know who has guns. So let's say out of the 4.2 million people that they've just decided to disqualify as gun owners, that 420,000 of them possess firearms, or at least they're on a list of people who have firearms. And you've decided in your benevolence, or your lack of benevolence, that these people are no longer qualified to have guns. How do you get them from them, Jared? Does Comrade Barry get in a truck and drive around to people's houses, knock on their doors, and say, hey, according to my list here, you bought a gun, and according to this other list, you've been disqualified from owning a gun, so I'm going to need to get that gun from you?
He's not. He has no spine, so...
No, Comrade Barry's not going to do that. So who is going to do it? Listen up, Mr. and Mrs. America. You need to ask yourself this question. Who is going to do it? Who is going to enforce the will of the king? Well, you're like, well, the police. Which police? The municipal police? The county sheriff? Sheriff's deputies? So what we're going to do is the bureaucracy is going to send lists down to sheriff's departments and say, okay, the following people, according to the will of the king, have been disqualified, and according to this list here, at some point in time they purchased firearms. So we need you to go to their houses. We need you to seize their property. Is that what we're going to do in America? That's the America you want to live in? Well, it's just reasonable, Paul. I mean, you can't allow mentally unstable people. Mentally unstable people? You mean like the monsters, the rabid dogs that your government has been welcoming into your country? Open arms. Come on in from Libya, Syria, Jordan, Palestine, Iraq, Yemen, whatever. Come on into America. Here, get in this line to get your free money. Get in that line to get your free food. Get in this line if you want to go to college, and while you're there, crap on the flag, whatever you feel like doing. And then those monsters attack our troops, attack our citizens, kill our people. And the answer from your government is, oh, well, we let a bunch of rabid dog monsters into our country, and now they're killing our people, so we need to look out at the American citizenry and figure out who shouldn't have guns anymore. Really? And you, what are you going to do about it? Well, what do you mean? What am I supposed to do? I guess nothing.
Flip the football game back on?
Yeah, is there a game on? I don't know. Is there a game on? All right, before we get farther into this, let's take a moment and thank our friends. I'm going to let you guys marinate on that while I thank my friends at Brownells. Brownells, remember I told you needed to sign up for the Brownells newsletter or the email list? Because I just got an email this morning as we're recording this that they're doing a 3-day special, and they've got promo codes for $10 off, $15 off, and $25 off your orders. Folks, if you're not signed up, you're missing out, and I can't send emails to each individual one of you. So go to brownells.com, sign up for their email list, and when you get, because it's a 3-day special, it's a limited 3-day deal where you can use these promo codes, and the only way to know about it is to sign up. And make sure you're checking out their new products. Duracoat, we talked about Duracoat. Duracoat is owned by a company called Lauer Custom Weaponry or Lauer Weaponry. But if you want to buy Duracoat products, it's super easy. You can get them from Brownells. You can get them from Midway. You can get them from lots of different sources. You just type in the word Duracoat, buy it, and it's everywhere. You've got a search engine, right? So check those guys out. One more thing about this disqualification. I got a question for you. You all out there in the reasonable audience, a lot of you are like, well, Paul, now it's reasonable to disqualify people from firearms ownership for X, Y, and Z. Okay. All right, cool. Because why? Well, because, that right is not an absolute right. Now, when someone is disqualified from owning a firearm, Are they disqualified from driving a car? Well, no, that would be stupid, Paul, because they need to be able to drive cars because they still have to work. I mean, they're not in jail or anything. They've got to work. Oh, okay, so driving a car is a more important right than the right to self-defense. Well, we're not talking about self-defense, Paul. We're talking about owning a gun. Oh, okay. Now, riddle me this, Batman. Let's say that you have a person who has been disqualified from owning a firearm based on X. And this is really a slippery slope to go down because you are sitting out there thinking, well, that will never happen to me, or that didn't happen to me, it hasn't happened to me, I don't care. And these people who've been disqualified, well, they're obviously disqualified for a good reason, and that's reasonable, and I think I can get on board with that. So let's say a guy got convicted of selling drugs, selling cocaine or marijuana or whatever it was, I don't care. And he does 5 years in jail, prison, 7 years, 3 years, whatever. He gets out. He's now a convicted felon. He's legitimately a convicted felon. And so you say, okay, he's a convicted felon, therefore he should lose the right to own a firearm for the rest of his life. Why? Because why? Well, because guns are dangerous. Okay, guns are dangerous. I got that part. So he's disqualified because why? Well, because you can't allow someone who's a convicted felon, yeah, but is he in jail? Well, no, he's not in jail. He served his time and he's out. Or she served her time and she's out, or whatever. You say, I got to ask you this. If the person in question is so dangerous to society that they cannot be allowed to possess a firearm, why aren't they still locked up? Jared?
Because why would they be locked up?
How does disqualifying felons, your thuggery, your vermin, your in Chicago et al., all these shootings and murders and so forth, are they committed by people that are not convicted felons, that are not career criminals?
Most of them are recidivist criminals.
Yeah, recidivist criminals. So how is this disqualification thing working? You're like, well, what do you mean? What's your point, Paul? My point is this. Do these disqualification laws prevent recidivist criminals, felons, thugs, so forth, from getting guns and using them to commit crimes? And if we're honest with ourselves, we'll say, well, no, it doesn't at all.
But the uneducated masses don't understand that.
So who do the disqualification laws affect? They're not affecting the Chicago or the Memphis or the St. Louis thuggery, Baltimore et al. So who are they affecting? And you're like, well, if I was honest with myself, I would have to say that these disqualification laws are only affecting the people, the citizens that are actually inclined to now obey the law. Oh. In the big picture, is the Chicago thuggery a threat to the state? Jared, do you think that that little Rami Emanuel and Gary the Enforcer and Comrade Barry and et al., do you think those guys sit around at night worrying that if they don't do something about the thug element in Chicago that they're going to lose their jobs?
No.
You want some hard, cold honesty? The ruling class members, the people that have assigned themselves seats in the ruling class, the Chicago thuggery does not bother them one bit. The Chicago thuggery, actually, et al., is a fantastic thing. If you're a statist, if you're seeking more power for the state and less for the people, you use the Chicago thuggery as an excuse to disarm the people, as an excuse to create more state, to increase the power of the state. new tax program. We got to have more laws. Oh, look at all these thugs. Look at this murder. We've got to do something. What is the something we're going to do? Oh, the something we're going to do is we're going to create more laws and take more money from you to fund those laws. Oh, and by the way, we're going to restrict your liberties. Folks, and how many of you are aware of the Lautenberg Amendment? You're like, the Lautenberg Amendment? That sounds familiar, but I don't know what the hell it is. Those of you who've been police officers, who've joined the military, you're aware of the Lautenberg Amendment. The Lautenberg Amendment, and is it hot enough down there for you, Frank? It is? Good. I'm glad it's plenty hot down there for you. The Lautenberg Amendment is an amendment to the I'll read it directly from you, and the source from this is ArmyStudyGuide.com. The Lautenberg Amendment to the Gun Control Act of 1968, effective 30 September 1996, makes it a felony. Now listen up. Makes it a felony for those convicted of misdemeanor crimes of domestic violence. So we're turning people who have committed misdemeanors into felons if they ship, transport, possess, or receive a firearm or ammunition. The amendment also makes it a felony to transfer a firearm or ammunition to an individual known or reasonably believed to have such a conviction. Soldiers are not exempt from the Lautenberg Amendment. So here's what we did in 1996. Who was the president in 96? Who put their signature, their sick, twisted, disgusting signature on this law?
Monica Lewinsky?
Yeah, Monica Lewinsky's boyfriend signed this. So all of you guys out there, you're like, well, I understand you're not down with the disqualification laws, Paul. I get that, but we're talking about felons here. We're talking about convicted felons, people that can't be trusted. We need to not trust them with guns. Well, what if we go ahead and extend that to misdemeanors? Misdemeanors are things that you don't go to prison for. You guys understand that, right? They're small crimes. I've got one for you. So, and this happened to me. I was involved as a police officer. You get a call to a domestic dispute. You go to the house, the trailer, the whatever. You got 19-year-old wife, 19-year-old husband. First of all, 19-year-olds should never get married, but it happens. So we have a domestic dispute going on. Well, according to state law, you cannot mediate a domestic dispute. If in Ohio, when I was a police officer, if you don't make an arrest from a domestic dispute call, you actually have to explain to the state your reasoning for not making the arrest. We talked about this previously. So let's say we got 19-year-old Johnny Dummy who gets in an argument, slap fight with his wife, whatever. He gets arrested. He gets charged with a misdemeanor, domestic violence, or whatever. All right. And he pleads out, or he pleads no contest or something, and he gets a fine and community service or probation or something. Pretty minor, right? Not that big of a deal. He certainly doesn't go to prison. So he gets out. Guess what? He just became a convicted misdemeanant for domestic violence at age 19, 20, 21, 22, 28, whatever. According to the Lautenberg Amendment in the United States of America, for the rest of his life, unless he can convince a judge to change it, to reinstate his rights, for the rest of his life, from age 20, 22, 25, till he dies in the United States of America, he's disqualified from a constitutional right, Amendment 2, because of Frank Lautenberg and Bill Clinton and their buddies. Because it seemed like a reasonable thing to do. So now we're going to create an even greater list. Not because we think these people are dangerous. Not because we have evidence showing that Social Security recipients are dangerous and can't be trusted, but because we need to increase the number of disqualified people in America. How is this going to affect Comrade Barry's little jihad buddies? Jared, explain to me how this not law, this new executive order, how is this going to affect Comrade Barry's little buddies?
It's going to help them be safer. It's going to help them
Get their job done?
get their job done, yes.
How is this going to stop the murders in Chicago, Baltimore, St. Louis? Do I need to keep going?
Nope.
How is it going to stop those? How is it going to reduce that? How is this going to keep the people of America safer from the vermin and the monsters and the rabid dogs?
It's not.
It's not. And we're running out of time for this one, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold over the last part of this story, and we're going to talk about it tomorrow when we come back, because it's important. It's important for you and I. It's important for us to pay attention to this stuff, folks, because this crap doesn't happen in a vacuum. It just doesn't happen by accident. It's deliberate. It's malicious. It's 100% malicious. Not delicious. Malicious. And you need to understand it. You need to get your head out of the sand. You need to pay attention. You need to tell your friends and neighbors, did you know about this? They're like, what? I mean, we could punish people for the rest of their lives for a mistake that they made when they were 21 years old? Yep. Yep, we sure can. Welcome to America. All right, last but certainly not least, we want to thank our friends from Frog Lube at froglube.com. How do you find Frog Lube? Well, you go to froglube.com. It just works. And Velocity Triggers, you got a black rifle, they've got a trigger for you. Go to velocitytriggers.com. They'll even show you how to install it. It's that easy. All right, tomorrow.
I think that you can get both Frog Lube and Velocity Triggers on Brownells.
I don't know if you can get Velocity Triggers yet. We'll have to talk with those guys and figure that out. But we know you can get Frog Lube at brownells.com. Now, tomorrow, we're going to talk about Black Man with a Gun. Black Man with a Gun challenges Comrade Barry. How dare you? I thought everybody with a darker skin tone than me was right down there with Comrade Barry. No, they're not. They're not. We're going to continue on with the 1-2 punch of disqualification and disability. And then we've got a special vagination report for you guys. It's something that you may not have heard, and you're not going to believe it. All right, make sure you listen in tomorrow. Remember, you're a beginner once, but you should indeed be a student for life.